in each of these four examples that you see, we are given a complicated fraction that we need to reduce or simply simplify it, right? So in the first example, there's something in the numerator that we can factor out. As you can see, there's x squared plus 1 squared, and there's also x squared plus 1 to the first power. Now, we have to factor out the maximum power such that it's no bigger than the smallest power, right? The smallest power is going to be x squared plus 1, right? So we're going to take it out. Because if we take out x squared plus 1 squared, how are we going to fit that into the second term first power, right? So we have to find the smallest power that is common to all of them, right? The smallest power of 1 and 2 is 1. So we're going to take x squared plus 1 outside like that. And then we're going to have a bracket. So here we're going to have x squared plus 1 squared. So we already have one power out. So that means x squared plus 1 is only required. Let's put out 3x squared to make it look in order. So x squared plus 1 just to the first power, because 1 plus 1 is 2, right? And then minus, let's see, so it's going to be very messy, right? 2 times 2 is 4, so let's put a 4. There's x to the third and there's x to the first power, so the resultant power is 4, right? Close bracket, because we don't need x squared plus 1. It's to the first power. That's already taken out there on the left in the beginning. Now x squared plus 1 to the fourth power is written as it was in the denominator. Now check this out. X squared plus 1 factor cancels out with one of the 4 factors here. So this becomes reduced to three factors, okay, in the bottom. So as a result, we're going to have, let's see, 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the fourth plus 3x squared times 1 minus 4x to the fourth divided by x squared plus 1 to the third power. Right, so as a result, as you can see, these two are like terms. So 3 minus, they're like terms because they have the same power, right, to the fourth power. X to the fourth power means that they're like terms. So you work with their coefficients. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Negative 1. So let's put out the 3x squared first. 3x squared minus, so negative 1, right? So minus 1 times x to the fourth is simply x to the fourth, right? So minus x to the fourth divided by x squared plus 1 to the third power, right? So that's the reduced fraction that we have. Okay? So now, the second example is similar, okay? The only difference is we can factor out everything in the top and everything in the bottom, okay? But the procedure is going to be similar after you do that. So how do you factor out the top? What I would suggest is always start with x plus 1, and then by trial and error see what you need to have all the powers satisfied. Right, so x is already to the first power. To have x to the third, you will need x squared, right? Because x times x squared is x to the third. Now, you need x squared, and we already have x squared, right? Because the second multiplication pair is 1 times x squared, right? So we're done with these two fellas. Now we need x. To have x, you need to multiply x with a 1, so that we write plus 1, because 1 times x is x. And then finally plus 1, and that's bingo, right? Because 1 times 1 is 1. So we have factored the top successfully. So now we need to write this this way. So now we need the bottom, right? We need to factor out the bottom. How do we do that? So also, I have a feeling that I'm going to use x plus 1 again. So let's just do x plus 1, and then let's do trial and error. So we need x to the third, so you need x squared again to have the first term satisfied, x times x squared. Now you need 3x squared. We already have 1 times x squared, which is 1x squared. And then we need 2x squared to be added, right? So 2x squared means x will be multiplied by plus 2x, right? 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x squared plus 1x squared is 3x squared. Good. Now the next one we need is 3x. We already have 1 times 2x, which is 2x. So we need one more x. So that means x times 1 is equal to 1x, right? So plus 1. We just add 1. And we get 1x plus 2x is bingo, 3x. And the last term, very good. It is satisfied by 1 times 1 plus 1. There you go. So you have factored both the top and the bottom successfully. As you can see, we can conveniently cancel this out, the common factor x plus 1. And as a result, we're just having x squared plus 1 divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1. All right, so that would be the answer here, the reduced fraction. Now this one looks like it's a little bit more complicated, but don't be afraid of it, because it's not as bad as it looks. Okay, so here it's similar to the first example. As you can see, the format is similar. So x squared minus 4 can be taken out. But what are the powers that we're going to take out? As I said before, look for the smallest power. In this case, 2 versus 3, 2 is the smallest, right? So you want to take the x squared minus 4 to the second power, because that's the smallest power as compared to the 3. And then bracket, now let's see. Let's put 2x down. And here we're going to have x squared minus 4. Now, what is the power that we need? We already have squared out, and we need one more, so it's just to the first power, right? So we don't write anything on the top. Minus, let's see, so how many x's do we have? 3 times 2 is 6, and then x times x squared is x to the third, right? And then x squared minus 4 is not written because we already have the 2 power outside, right? We don't need to write anything else, so we close the bracket. We divide it by x squared minus 4 to the 6th power. Now, just like in the first example, the 2 goes away, right? The entire x squared minus 4 with 2 factors of x squared minus 4 go away. This reduces the bottom by 2 factors, so it becomes with a 4th power. So as a result, what we have, let's simplify this. We're going to have 2x to the third minus 8x minus 6x to the third divided by x squared minus 4 raised to the 4th power. So now like terms, these are like terms because they have the same power to the x. So 2x squared minus 6x squared is negative 4x squared minus 8x divided by x squared minus 4 raised to the 4th power. Right, so this is the final answer. This is the reduced form, the reduced simplified fraction of the given one. Now in the last example, this looks different because we have a negative power. Negative power means essentially you flip the x plus 5 so that it becomes 1 over x plus 5, right? So negative in the power means that you're going to flip it, right? It's going to be a reciprocal. It's going to be a reciprocated expression, right? So it's not going to be x plus 5. It's going to be 1 over x plus 5 to the 5th power, right? That's what it essentially means. So let's rewrite that. So what we need here is that 1 over x plus 5 to the 5th power, right? Notice there's no more negative in the power because we already flipped it, right? We already reciprocated x plus 5 to the, right? So it becomes to the 5th power. And then minus, let's see, so this is going to be flipped x plus 5, and this time the power will be 4 in the bottom. So x plus 5, the power of 4, divided by, now we're going to flip this, 1 over x plus 5 raised to the 3rd power. Okay. So now that we have that, let's continue work. Now you have 5 factors of x plus 5, but here you have 4 factors of x plus 5, right? So you need 1 more x plus 5 here, right? And you leave this fraction alone, right? So it's going to be 1 minus, so 1 minus, so you need 1 more factor here, x plus 5. And don't forget the parentheses because the minus applies to everything written on the top, right? So everything is, in this case, x plus 5. So minus is applied to both. So you close them with parentheses. And divided by x plus 5 to the 5th power, right? Because the least common multiple in this sense is the greatest number of factors, right? The greatest number of factors is going to be 5, right? Here you had 4, so you need one more factor on the bottom and the top multiplied. So you get minus x plus 5 instead of 1 here, right? And both divided by the least common multiple, in this case, x plus 5 to the 5th power, is the greatest number of factors, all right? Why don't we actually make this a multiplication? So instead of dividing by this, we're going to multiply by flipped fraction, right? Because we know from the algebra rules we can do that. So x plus 5 raised to the 3rd power divided by 1. Right, so what does that give us? That gives us, now let's take a look at the algebra that we can use. 1 minus x minus 5. So 1 minus 5, let's take care of that. 1 minus 5 is minus 4 minus x times x plus 5 to the 3rd power, right? Because this multiplies everything in the first fraction in the top, right? So the top becomes this and gets multiplied to the numerator in the second fraction, divided by x plus 5 to the 5th power. So now look what happens. We can conveniently cancel out all 3 factors of x plus 5 in the top. The bottom x plus 5 factors reduces to 2 factors, right? Because the 3 factors were already canceled out in the top. Right? So that becomes, the answer to this becomes minus 4 minus x divided by x plus 5 squared. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hope this was a lot of fun. See you in the next videos.